I have filled him with the Spirit of God. And he says it again in verse 6. God gave these men his Spirit to do the work. And a few things are mentioned in tandem with the Holy Spirit: wisdom, understanding, knowledge, and skill to fashion all the items. God gave these men wisdom, good judgment to plan and oversee all the various projects. He gave these men discernment to make right decisions. He gave them wisdom for the work they were called to. It says that he gave these men understanding. They were able to comprehend the instructions that were given to Moses. It wasn't like somebody was speaking another language. God gave them an understanding mind so that when they were told how to make it, it clicked. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Moses. They had a clear vision of the outcome that God desired because they had understanding. God gave them knowledge, so they had familiarity with all the tools and all the processes needed to implement these blueprints. They didn't just sit there in ignorance. God gave them knowledge so they could do the work. And then it says skill in all manner of workmanship. So God made them competent to do it. It wasn't just intellectual, but God gave them the physical ability to put their hands to the task and accomplish his will. These are all the things that the Spirit of God did in them. The source of all these blessings was God's very Spirit. It does not say that God looked and looked and looked and looked to find two guys that were good enough, two guys that knew how to handle a project this important. It says that God called them out and God made them able to do this by his Spirit. That is good news for us and the things that God calls us to. We're told that they were called to design this and implement it the way God wanted, and we see that God is working in them and with them to make sure it's done just right. Just so, in the way God wanted it. I know my time at the ranch, I talk about it a lot. It impacted me in many ways. I saw that the best staff at Ranch Hope were not the staff that just told the kids what to do, but the staff who came alongside them and participated in the work. Simple stuff, like cleaning a toilet. Marissa's like, you don't ever do that. Don't say it's simple. Don't say that's a simple project. Simple things. It's good to be able to give clear directives and explain expectations. That's a good thing. But you know what? It's better when you're willing to come alongside and do it yourself and help someone do it. And that is exactly what God is doing here. God is coming alongside these men from within, and he's working with them and through them and for them. He had spoken with his mouth, and now God was working by his Spirit. It's this beautiful cooperation that's taking place. They're actually doing the work, but it's God. We read this in the New Testament. It's him who works in us both to will and to do of his good pleasure. And what was he doing here? He's putting blessing and honor on his people. This tabernacle, this building, was a visible manifestation that God wanted to dwell among them and walk among them. So he's coming alongside them.